Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazine. The opening night film at the Sundance Film Festival is a movie called Coda, and I am here with the star of that movie, Emilia Jones. I have to say it was so frustrating because after experiencing this movie last night, it would have been a standing ovation, and yet everybody's in their living room watching the movie. So what's it like to have the opening night film at Sundance, but you're not there?
I wish we could be there. Last night I was actually on a night shoot, so I was in a field somewhere in the snow in like minus 24, and I didn't have any internet connection. So I was trying to see if people were liking the film, but it was hard. It's weird. It's weird. I wish we could all be together. I wish I could be with Sean and all the cast celebrating. But it's just so exciting that it's at Sundance. You know, everyone poured their heart and soul into this film. So I'm so happy that people have been enjoying it and that we were given this opportunity.
Well, again, congratulations. I want to ask you about your own awareness of the hearing impaired community. What interaction had you had prior to this?
Honestly, I really hadn't. I didn't know any sign language. I didn't know about deaf culture. I didn't know about the deaf community. I read the script and I immediately wanted to know everything. You know, I wanted to learn sign language. I've always been fascinated and I've always wanted to learn, but I'd never had the opportunity. So I read the script and I thought, whoever is lucky enough to be able to play Ruby is a very lucky girl. And then when I found out I got the role, I was over the moon and I started ASL lessons. I learned ASL for I think 9 months. But the first lesson that I had was just about deaf culture and about the deaf community, which was so helpful. And then when I arrived on set, Marley, Troy, and Daniel really took me under their wing and helped me grow and learn more and more.
Let me ask you in regard to that, because, you know, it's one thing when you work on other projects and you have the language of speech that you're talking to act off against with another person. Mm-hmm. How interesting was it for an actor to rely on the sign language to be that communication?
I mean, it was it was a challenge for sure, but I think that's what drew me to the role. I knew that Sean, after talking to her, loved naturalism and loved actors bouncing off each other on set, and was very kind of, you know, whatever you feel, you know, you can change the lines, you can just be the characters. And I thought to myself, well, I don't know this language, you know, I'm learning these lines, but I'm not super confident. But because Ruby signed so much in the script, when I arrived on set and I started talking to Troy, Daniel, and Marley, I actually realized I knew a lot more sign language than I thought I did. So it did allow us on set to improvise a little bit and have that freedom, which I loved. And we'd always meet up on the weekends too, which helped me. But yeah, I fell in love with the language, and I loved filming in it. You know, it was challenging at times, you know, because obviously things change right before we start filming, and it's hard when your line changes if it's in your language, but when it's not in your language, it's quite daunting. But all my ASL coaches and Alexandria, they all were so brilliant, and everybody just helped me so much, and I fell in love with the language.
Another language that's utilized in the movie is music. And I have to say, I am an aficionado of soul music, and you have the most beautiful soulness in your voice. How long have you been aware of your singing talent, and how did you navigate through a lot of these great old soul songs from the 70s?
I mean, well, honestly, I hadn't had a singing lesson prior to Coda. I would sing in the shower and I'm always humming and things, but I had never really sung properly. But yeah, I love music. I'm always listening to music. Music's a big part in acting for me because it makes me feel so much. So I'm always, you know, if there's a sad scene, I'll put my headphones in and I listen to a song. And so I love that there was music in Coda. It was all live on set, all the songs. It was a challenge for sure, but I loved it. And I love music and I love singing. So I loved combining two things that I absolutely adore. Yeah, it was super fun. And Nick Baxter, who recorded on set with me, he was so great. And we had a lot of fun.
Well, there are a lot of elements of the movie that I can relate to. There's one part that your character had to do, which I have such an aversion to, and that is being on a boat, because my motion sickness does not tolerate that action. How did you deal with that?
I hadn't really properly been on a boat. But so, okay, the first time we went out on the boat, we got up at like 3 a.m., I want to say. We went on the boat and we kind of learned how to work the trawler. We learned how to gut the fish. And Sean said to me right before we got on the boat, she was like, I woke up this morning and I was really worried that you would be one of those girls that was kind of squeamish or like, was scared of things. And I kind of got on the boat. I had fish guts all over my face. I was like, I'm a tomboy. And I loved it. You know, my grandparents are from Wales. They have a boat. And so now I love it. I love going out on the boat. I'm not going to lie. There was a day when we were shooting, because we had lunch on the boat too. So we really would work a full day on the water, not going to land once. And I just remember it was really rocky that day. And I remember thinking, I feel a little bit sick. And then I looked up and all the crew were green. And I was like, okay, it's not just me. And then you'd go home and you'd get in the shower and you'd still be sweating.
One of the beautiful moments of the movie, I think, is when you and Miles were in the hallway and he's kind of talking about his parents. And I think there's something that every high school kid or teenager goes through. You're embarrassed by your family, of the way you think that they're too much or whatever, until you start experiencing other people's families. And then you realize how lucky you are that your parents take that interest in who you are. So growing up for you, how involved were your parents in your own career and your own life?
Both my parents are super, super supportive. They're also very laid back too. So they haven't been that involved, but they're always there when I need them. You know, it's not when I started acting when I was very young. So I'm sure, you know, it wasn't easy for my parents because I was dragging them to different places and my brother was still at school and I was at school and, you know, they'd help me if I was on a night shoot with my homework and things. So they've always been so supportive. I think for Ruby, you know, she does everything with her family. You know, she has to, you know, she interprets for them. They're an incredibly close family because they do everything together. And I think, you know, sometimes it's a blessing being a coder, but sometimes I think they feel like it's a tiny bit of a burden. You know, you can't do normal teenage things sometimes. So I think at that point in time, she was kind of resenting being different. But then, you know, when you hear Miles talk about his family and that they're not close, and I think Ruby really realizes, you know, not everyone is this lucky and to have this relationship with their parents and their family. And, you know, Ruby loves her family so much that she's also very protective. And I think from what I've, you know, from talking to coders and things, they are very protective of their family. You know, they can hear what's being said about their family. So they feel like it's their responsibility to protect. And that is exactly what Ruby was feeling at that moment in time.
And a last question for you. About a year ago, I interviewed your co-star, Connor Jessup. I think Lock and Key is such a cool show. I just have to congratulate you.
No way.
You actually filmed season 2 during COVID, during all this pandemic. I know you can't give away maybe the plot points, but how interesting was that to go back to season 2 and under these different parameters?
It was interesting. It was so nice seeing everybody again. And we felt so lucky and grateful that we were able to get back to shooting in these circumstances. I was filming Lock and Key last night, which is why I couldn't see what everyone was saying about Coda. It's great. I think season 2 is a lot of fun. I think people are going to really, really enjoy it. We're having the best time filming it. And it was so nice to reconnect with everybody again and you know, dive back into these characters. Well,
I'm so sorry you didn't get the chance for the reception that you would have seen had you been at the opening night of Sundance, but it's going to happen. You're going to get to a premiere and you're going to see the incredible enthusiasm that people have for this movie. Emilia, thank you so much for your time on this movie called Coda. And this is Scott. Till next time.